Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Thank you. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we are reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 13, the ecstatic dancing of the Lord at Ratha Yatra. It's chapter 13. A summary of this chapter is given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya as follows. After bathing early in the morning, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the deities Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra get aboard their 3 cars. This function is called Pandu Vijaya. At that time, King Prataparudra took a broom with a golden handle and began to cleanse the road. Lord Jagannath took permission from the goddess of fortune and then started in the car for the Gundicha temple. The road to the temple led along a broad, sandy beach, and on both sides of the road were residential quarters, houses and gardens. Along that road, the servants called Gaudas began to pull the cars. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu divided his Sankirtan party into 7 divisions, with 2 mridanga in each division. There were altogether 14 mridangas. While performing kirtana, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited various symptoms of transcendental ecstasy, and Jagannath and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exchanged their feelings very blissfully. When the cars reached the place known as Balagandi, the devotees offered the deities simple food. At this time, in a nearby garden, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees took a brief rest from dancing. Text 1. Sajiyat Krishna Chaitanya Sri Rathangare Nanartaya Yenasi Jagatam Chitram Jagannathopi Vismitaha. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya, who danced in the front of the car of Sri Jagannath, be all glorified. By seeing his dancing, not only was the whole universe held in wonder, but Lord Jagannath himself became very much astonished. Jaya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Shri Krishna Chaitanya and Prabhu Nityananda. All glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to the devotees of Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtabhadala Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Sasadevi Gauravani Chanani Vishesha Srinivadi Pashadesh. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today is a very auspicious day of Ratha Yatra, the festival of Ratha Yatra. Ratha literally means the chariot, and Yatra means, sometimes it means pilgrimage, sometimes it means the group of devotees going to pilgrimage. So it's one of the most famous, if not the most famous festival in the, contemporary Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma culture. The festival, actually it's difficult to say when the festival started, but it's, like thousands of years there. And it's interesting when British colonialists, the famous or infamous East India Company, when they ruled India, then they sent so many missionaries, and especially missionaries there. They had a great role in converting people and establishing strengthening the rule of the British Raj. So there was one priest, and priest usually means they were educated, and very often they would learn the local language, and then they would preach the gospel. Anyway, I'm trying to control myself, since this is broadcasted. I will have to keep my mouth sometimes shut. So there was that particular person, one of the first Westerners who witnessed the great festival of this Ratha Yatra. So he heard, that people were screaming, Jagannath, people were shouting in joy, Jagannath, Jagannath, Jagannath. So when he was writing, his memoirs, and when he was writing actually his report to his boss and to his masters, and then went back to England, this word Juggernaut was coined. In English, Juggernaut means some monster or some gigantic thing, And Srila Prabhupada will read this chapter, and in one purport Srila Prabhupada mentions this. And he considered this something like very backward, primitive savages were, glorifying some, and especially, for Christianity, this idol worshipping, this is for them, it's like the biggest sin. Although, especially in Catholic Church, the churches are full of idols, and actually the real idols, because they don't worship them, but they keep idols in the churches. Oh, I remember once we went with Tirtha Prabhu, we went to this our church here, this cathedral in Salem, and we met the head priest there, bishop, and he had, probably still he has, in his room, he had a little infant Jesus, because that church is known as Infant Jesus, Church of Infant Jesus. He had a little altar and little idol of Jesus, and he was changing the, dresses, and he kept flowers and incense and everything. So, actually, from all Christians, we are the Catholic Church is the closest to Sanatana Dharma, or this idea, of keeping and worshiping deities, but they don't really have a real understanding. And especially when you see Jagannath, this priest who witnessed Ratha Yatra, actually he was very lucky, because I'm not so lucky, actually. I never had a chance to be in Ratha Yatra. That's my great misfortune, and I don't know why I was supposed to, speak something on Ratha Yatra today. Like, you were all, many of you were there several times. I know that Chitahari Prabhu sang in front of Lord Jagannath like Vakreshwara Pandit for 7 hours or something, non-stop. So actually, I'm sorry, but anyway, I'll just read, that I'll not speak too much. But anyway, when he saw this, Jagannath, and deity of Jagannath is, if you don't understand what it means, then you will misunderstand, definitely. So he was, oh, what is this? Some piece of wood with a huge eyes. It looks like some monster. And these Hindus, these savages, they're worshiping it and crying. They're all they're taking some drugs because this drug is called prasad, and they're all in some kind of intoxicated state. And they are just, shouting and dancing and jumping. This was his idea. This was his, his experience of the. This is how he explained his experience of Ratha Yatra. But actually, Ratha Yatra is one of the most confidential and deities of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. Actually, the most intimate and confidential manifestation of Lord's emotions, because this Ratha Yatra actually symbolizes the moment when gopis met Krishna again after so much time, and they were trying to take him back to Vrindavan. So Krishna, he melted, practically speaking, Therefore, when we see and he was holding he holds his hands like this because he wants to embrace his devotees, gopis, and his devotees in general. Therefore, the Ratha Yatra is very, very, very sweet and emotional kind of festival, where devotees exchange their love, and in Puri, Jagannath is worshipped as a king, practically speaking. Every day he's fed with 54 types of preparations, 56, sorry. 56 types of preparations. He's worshipped. So many people come for his darshan. He's very opulently worshipped day and night. There are so many pujas going, during the day, and it's amazing. It's tremendous, actually, how they worship. And in a huge temple, which looks like a palace, and palace is always the place. Like in every, city, and even if you go, even nowadays, if you go in Western cities and cities which have some, history or tradition, you would always find this palace of a king who was ruling the place. Always the biggest and the most beautiful, most beautifully decorated and huge and fancy, building. So like that, if you come to Puri, what else? Nothing else could be compared to Jagannath Mandir. Everything is just insignificant in comparison to the temple of Lord Jagannath, who is worshipped like a king. And then once a while, he wants to go out and he wants to associate with his devotees. And especially, this also has a very deep meaning for us who are born in Western countries. We somehow or other, we can say, okay, that's it's like it's unreasonable, or it's political, or it's whatever, but somehow or other we cannot come in and we cannot have darshan, Westerners. But Lord comes out because of that, because he wants to give mercy to everybody, including lower classes. And then he goes and he moves and he stays. And I will read now from this chapter, which describes actually this beginning of Ratha Yatra and then dancing, and let's see how long we can go. I'll maybe comment more on that, but let's see. All glories to, and I think I will skip Bengali or Sanskrit. Text 3. All glories to the listeners of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Please hear the description of the dancing of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at the Ratha Yatra festival. His dancing is very enchanting. Please hear of it with a great attention. The next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his personal associates got up in the dark and attentively took their early morning baths. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his personal associates then went to see the ceremony of Pandu Vijaya. During this ceremony, Lord Jagannath leaves his throne and gets up onto the car. King Prataparudra in person, as well as his entourage, allowed the Pandu Vijaya ceremony to be seen by all the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his prominent devotees, Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu and others, were very, very happy to observe how Lord Jagannath began the Ratha Yatra. The very strongly built Daitas, carriers of the Jagannath deity, were as powerful as drunken elephants. They manually carried Lord Jagannath from the throne to the car. Purport. The word Daita refers to one who has received the mercy of Lord. Lord Jagannath has a number of stalwart servants known as Daitas. These servants do not come from very high caste families, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas or Vaishyas, but because they are engaged in the service of the Lord, they have been elevated to a respected position. Thus, they are known as Daitas. These servants of the Lord Jagannath take care of the Lord from the day of the Snana Yatra up to the time the Lord is carried from the throne to the Ratha car. In the Kshetra Mahatmya, these Daitas are said to come from the Shabaras, a caste that keeps and sells pigs. However, among the Daitas, there are also many who come from the Brahmana caste. Those Daitas coming from the Brahmana families are called Daitapatis, or leaders of the Daitas. The Daitapatis offered food such as sweetmeats to the Lord Jagannath during the Anavasara, the resting period after Snana Yatra. They also make the early morning offering of sweetmeats daily. It is said that during the Anavasara, Lord Jagannath suffers from fever, and that the Daitapatis offer him an infusion of drugs represented by fruit juice. It is said that in the beginning, Lord Jagannath was worshipped by the Shabaras and was known as deity Nila Madhava. Later, when the deity was established in the temple, the Lord became known as Jagannath. Because the deities were taken from Shabaras, all the Shabara devotees were elevated to the position of Daitas. So, and that's also interesting that the original worshippers of Lord Jagannath, the Supreme Personality of God, that allowed himself to be worshipped by sellers and keepers of pigs. That's amazing. And it's well, yeah. Let's see. Text 9. While carrying deity of Lord Jagannath, some of the Daitas took hold of the shoulders of Lord and some caught his lotus feet. Text 10. The Lord Jagannath deity was bound at the waist by a strong, thick rope made of silk. From two sides the Daitas caught hold of this rope and raised the deity. Text 11. Strong, puffed up cotton pads called tulis were spread out from the throne to the car, and the heavy deity of Lord Jagannath was carried from one pillow-like pad to the next by the Daitas. So now this carrying is actually not really carrying, because Lord Jagannath is very heavy and it's very difficult to manage. Even back in our place in Croatia, we have Ratha Yatras, and we have in one temple we have deities of Jagannath, Baladeva, and Subhadra, and they're not so huge like this maybe, but still Lord Jagannath is so heavy, it's very difficult for one person to manage. And then Jagannath, who is like really gigantic, actually is he actually walks. Have you seen that? You can see this on the videos. Like Lord Jagannath walks on this. These tulis are actually pillows on the floor, and then he's like, he walks. He's taken by this Daitas to the car. While the Daitas carried the heavy Jagannath deity from one pad to the next, some of the pads broke, and the cotton content floated into the air. When they broke, they made a heavy cracking sound. Text 13. Lord Jagannath is the maintainer of the whole universe. Who can carry him from one place to another? The Lord moves by his personal will just to perform his pastimes. That's the proper understanding, actually. Who can carry? Who was that? Trinivarta tried to carry Lord Krishna, but in what moment, he managed to, in that twister, tornado, he pulled him up in the air, but then Lord became suddenly so heavy, and then, this demon couldn't carry Krishna anymore. Krishna became so heavy that he fell down, and the demon was killed. So nobody can carry Lord. Of course, Mother Yashoda can carry Krishna. Devotees can carry Krishna. But actually, Lord moves by his personal will. While the Lord was transported from the throne to the car, tumultuous sounds were made on various musical instruments. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was chanting Manima, Manima, but he could not be heard. Purport. The word Manima is used to address a respectable person in Orissa. Lord Jagannath was being respectfully addressed by Sri Chaitanya in this way. Text 15. While the Lord was being carried from the throne to the car, King Prataparudra personally engaged in the Lord's service by cleansing the road with a broom that had a golden handle. The king sprinkled the road with sandalwood-scented water. Although he was the owner of the royal throne, he engaged in menial service for the sake of Lord Jagannath. And actually all the kings of Puri, they consider themselves as the servants. That's a very nice example, as the servants of Lord Jagannath. And in many Ratha Yatras all around the world, usually we always invite some, dignitaries like ambassadors, of India. And in our place we have actually several years For several years, actually, his ambassador would always come. Ambassador of India it's a high post, and he's a top-ranking diplomat, and then they come, they take broom, and they sweep the area before the Ratha Yatra starts, just when Ratha Yatra starts. And they're very happy. They also offer the coconuts there with us, and they give a speech. Last year there was a new ambassador just came in, and he gave a nice speech also. At the end he was a little bit carried away by some influence of Advaita was noticed, but generally 95% was good speech. But he was very happy in a family, and there's some other staff from the embassy came. That's very nice. And actually, the Prime Minister of India is very good. Modi is very good. But actually, in every country, when this Ratha Yatra festival is held, actually the prime ministers should come and they should sweep, in the front of the Lord Jagannath. Once when we achieve this, in our PR preaching efforts, when we get, on Ratha Yatra's prime ministers to sweep the floor, then we will, will achieve something, and Lord Jagannath will be pleased. Although the king was the most exalted, respectable person, still he accepted menial service for the Lord. He therefore became a suitable candidate for receiving the Lord's mercy. And that's also interesting, that after this, the Lord Prataparudra, so many times he wanted to meet, and the devotees wanted to bring Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to meet with him. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was refusing. He didn't want to meet the worldly person, because what king means, he's a Raja. Raja comes from Rajas. He's the most, he's always surrounded by women, by wealth, by money, by enjoyment. He always deals with the, materially surrounded, even if he is devotee. And King Prataparudra clearly was a devotee. But this moment, actually, he gained confidence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because of his menial service to the Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased with him. And then he met him later in the gardens. And that's an interesting also. Devotees told him not to carry this attire of king, but to wear Vaishnava Vesha. So he dressed himself as ordinary devotee, and he came to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the garden. Upon seeing the king engaged in such a menial service, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very happy. Simply by rendering this service, the king received the mercy of the Lord. Purport: unless one receives the mercy of the Lord, he cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead or engage in his devotional service. How foolish are these attempts and claims of atheists or agnostics who are challenging, the Lord or his devotees. Where is your Lord? Show me the Lord. Show me the God. Unless you get the mercy of the Lord, you cannot see him. It's so simple. It's just common sense. Why should God appear to you? Who are you? Who are you? What's your qualification? If you want to see Modi ji, can you just come and Sir, is Modiji at home? I want to see him. There is no way that you can meet him, Even after several attempts, you will be, you may be rejected, and most of the people will never see him. You'll never have a chance, even if you want to meet him. And then what to say about the, supreme leader of the whole universe, supreme personality of Godhead? And you want to see him? No. He has to give you mercy. You have to receive his mercy. Athapita deva padambhujadvaya prasada leshanugrihita eva hi janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno nachanya ekopi chiram vichinvan. A devotee who has received even a small fraction of the mercy of the Lord can understand him. Others may engage in theoretical speculation to understand the Lord, but they cannot know anything about him. Although Maharaj Prataparudra was very eager to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord refused to see him. But when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the king engage in menial service for Lord Jagannath, he became very happy. Thus the king became eligible to receive Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. If a devotee accepts Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the universal Guru and Lord Jagannath as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, he is benefited by the combined mercy of Krishna and Guru. That's nice. Devotee accepts Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the universal Guru and Jagannath as the Krishna. He is benefited by the combined mercy of Krishna and Guru. That is stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his instructions to Rupa Goswami in Madhya 19:151. Brahmananda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pa Bhaktalata Bhij. The seed of devotional service fructifies and becomes a transcendental creeper. Finally, it reaches the lotus feet of the Lord in the spiritual sky. This seed is obtained by the mercy of the Lord and the Guru. By the Lord's mercy, one gets the association of bona fide Guru, and by the mercy of the Guru, one gets a chance to render devotional service. Devotional service, the science of Bhakti Yoga, carries one from this material world to the spiritual world. Text 19. Rathe rasa jani deki loke chamatkar nama he mama ratha sumera sumeru akar. Everyone was astonished to see the decorations on the Ratha car. The car appeared to be newly made of gold, and it was as high as Mount Sumeru. And Mount Sumeru is a golden mountain, purport. In the year 1973, there was a gorgeous Ratha Yatra festival in London, England, and the car was brought to Trafalgar Square. The London daily newspaper, The Guardian, published a front-page photo caption, ISKCON Ratha Yatra is rival to the Nelson column in Trafalgar Square. The Nelson column is a very impressive statue of Lord Nelson and can be seen from a good distance, just as the residents of Puri compare the Ratha Yatra car to Mount Sumeru. The residents of London consider the car rival to the Nelson Monument. That's Lord Nelson was the famous general, and his statue is there on Trafalgar Square, which is one of the most important squares in London, which is one of the most important cities in the West, which Srila Prabhupada, by the way, considered to be as a hell. So this Lord Nelson is like, the statue is very prestigious there, and it's huge. But this Guardian journalists, they describe the car, the Ratha, as a rival to that Nelson column. So similarly, and again, I say I'm not so fortunate as many of you. I didn't really had a chance to see the real Rathas in Jagannath Puri, but I know from videos there and photos. They are very huge. They pierce the sky. They are just like a Sumeru mountain, and they are made of gold. Appear to be made of gold. So this is what actually Lord deserves. This kind of, not just some ordinary, metal box with an engine inside, or some, bullock cart. The Lord actually deserves the best. So therefore this huge, and if you, I don't know, have you ever heard the description how these carts are built every year from particular type of wood, and they already start in January, I think. Huh? Yeah, from Akshaya Tirtha. They start and they build, and it's such a massive and huge, and there are three, of course, because Baladev and Subhadra, they have their own carts. And Lord is, and then on the way, the Lord is all the time, so many aratis are going on, and pujas and offerings, and just such a amazing royal treatment, because Lord deserves, because He's the supreme. And it's interesting how Srila Prabhupada was also very proud here of achievement of devotees in our movement, because this Ratha Yatra in ISKCON started 68, I think, the first Ratha Yatra, or 69. First 69, I believe, first Ratha Yatra in San Francisco, which was organized and managed by Jananda Prabhu, who is actually the first modern day saint in our movement. And Srila Prabhupada established and told to devotees to worship and celebrate his Jananda Prabhu as a saint. Actually, we have in our Vaishnava calendar, every year we are celebrating and glorifying Jananda, and actually also on every Ratha his picture is placed there, because he's the boss. And it's amazing actually how a very amazing devotee this Jananda Prabhu was, how he managed this, just if you compare, I just said in Puri, in Jagannath Puri, they start early, that everything is organized. Everything is organized, I guess by the trust, their temple trust. They bring the wood, this and that. Jananda, when he started this Ratha Yatras, he did everything single-handedly, alone. And there were few devotees. They didn't. Devotees are doing so many things, distributing magazines, books, doing sankirtans. But he was completely. And Jananda was, only, I guess he had one or two, and depends actually. In the beginning he had like a minimum help from other devotees, because there were few devotees anyway, and nobody was there to help him. So when they were building the chariots, he would always, whoever was passing by, I heard this stories, some man was passing by, and he was looking like, he was kind of, just curious, what's going on? Hey, guys, what's going on here? Oh, and then Jananda was there, he was hammering some nails, and said, can you hold this nail for me, And then he was, preaching to him, explaining, and maybe you can try to, help me a little bit here, with one. And then the man, 1, 2 nails, 3 nails, and then he stayed all day. He was just casually, passerby, passing by, and then, Jananda engaged him, and this was like a regular occurrence, He would have so many people like this. He would just engage anybody and everybody, the homeless people, the hippies, or whoever was there, he would then engage them. And actually this Ratha Yatra festival really pick up, and I mean, now I'm not exactly sure what are the statistics, but this festival is held in hundreds of cities, literally hundreds of cities. Of course, then also we had this little problem, because it's not that, you know, in every center all around the world the Ratha Yatra can be held just, you know, on day, which is on this particular day, which is insisted. It should be, but, you know, it's not really possible. It's, you know, this Puri management, the Jagannath Puri temple authorities, they insist that we should, you know, that all Ratha Yatras should be done on the same day, but actually it's not practical. Anyway, Ratha Yatras are really big preaching programs, and then also in the West they serve as a occasion when devotees can meet each other and associate, you know, and you know, exchange their gifts. Text 20. Decorations included bright mirrors and hundreds of chamaras, white whisks made of yak tails. On top of the car were a neat and clean canopy and a very beautiful flag. The car was also decorated with silken cloth and various pictures. Many brass bells, gongs, and ankle bells rang. For the pastimes of the Ratha Yatra ceremony, Lord Jagannath got aboard on one car, and his sister Subhadra and elder brother Balaram got aboard 2 other cars. For 15 days the Lord had remained in a secluded place with the Supreme Goddess of Fortune and had performed his pastimes with her. Purport. The 15-day period of Anavasara is also called Nibhrita, in honor of the solitary place where the Supreme Goddess of Fortune lives. After living there a fortnight, Lord Jagannath took permission from the Goddess of Fortune to leave. Text 24. Having taken permission from the Goddess of Fortune, the Lord came out to ride on the Ratha car and perform his pastimes for the pleasure of devotees. Purport. In this connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that as an ideal husband, Lord Jagannath remained 15 days in a secluded place with his wife, the Supreme Goddess of Fortune. Nonetheless, the Lord wanted to come out of seclusion to give happiness to his devotees. The Lord enjoys himself in 2 ways, known as Swakiya and Parakiya. The Lord's conjugal love in the Swakiya rasa relates to the regulative principles observed in Dwaraka, where the Lord has many married queens. But in Vrindavan, the conjugal love of the Lord is not with his married wives, but with his girlfriends, the gopis. Conjugal love with the gopis is called Parakiya rasa. Lord Jagannath leaves the secluded place where he enjoys the company of the Supreme Goddess of Fortune in Swakiya rasa, and he goes to Vrindavan, where he enjoys the Parakiya rasa. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur therefore reminds us that the Lord's pleasure in Parakiya rasa is superior to his pleasure in Swakiya rasa. In the material world, Parakiya, or loving affairs with unmarried girlfriends, is the most degraded relationship. But in the spiritual world, this type of loving affair is considered the supreme enjoyment. In the material world, everything is but a reflection of the spiritual world, and that reflection is perverted. We cannot understand the affairs of the spiritual world on the basis of our experience in the material world. The Lord's pastimes with the gopis are therefore misunderstood by mundane scholars and word wranglers. The parakya rasa of the spiritual world should not be discussed except by one who is very advanced in pure devotional service. The parakya rasa in the spiritual world and that in the material world are not comparable. The former is like a gold and the latter is like an iron. Because the difference between the two is so great, they cannot actually be compared. However, just as a knowledgeable person can easily distinguish gold from iron, one who has the proper realization can easily distinguish the transcendental activities of the spiritual world from material activities. Text 25. The fine, white and spread all over the path resemble the bank of the Yamuna, and the small gardens on both sides looked just like those in Vrindavana. As Lord Jagannath rode in his car and saw the beauty of both sides, his mind was filled with pleasure. The pullers of the cars were known as Gaudas, and they pulled with great pleasure. However, the car sometimes went very fast and sometimes very slow. Sometimes the cart would stand still and not move, even though it was pulled very vigorously. The chariot therefore moved by the will of the Lord, not by the strength of any ordinary person. As the car stood still, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gathered all his devotees and, with his own hand, decorated them with flower garlands and sandalwood pulp. Paramananda Puri and Brahmananda Bharati were both personally given garlands and sandalwood pulp from the very hands of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This increased their transcendental pleasure. Similarly, when Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu felt the touch of the transcendental hand of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were very, very pleased. The Lord also gave garlands and sandalwood pulp to the performers of Sankirtan. The two chief performers were Swarup Damodar and Srivas Thakur. There were altogether 4 parties of Kirtan performers, comprising 24 chanters. In each party, there were also 2 Mridanga players, making an additional 8 persons. When the 4 parties were formed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after some consideration, divided the chanters. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Haridas Thakur, and Vakreshwara Pandit to dance in each of the 4 respective parties. Swarup Damodar was chosen as the leader of the first party and was given 5 assistants to respond to his chanting. The 5 who responded to the singing of Swarup Damodar were Damodar Pandit, Narayan, Govinda Datta, Raghav Pandit, and Sri Govindananda. Advaita Acharya Prabhu was ordered to dance in the first group. The Lord then formed another group with Srivas Thakur as the chief man. Purport. In the first group, Damodar Swarup was appointed chief singer, and the responding singers were Damodar Pandit, Narayan, Govinda Datta, Raghav Pandit, and Govindananda. Sri Advaita Acharya was appointed as a dancer. The next group was formed, and the chief singer was Srivas Thakur. So this is Chittahari Prabhu. Next time you organize some kirtan, you have to appoint a dancer also who will dance in the front. That's very important. The 5 singers who responded to the singing of Srivas Thakur were Gangadas, Haridas, Shriman, Shubhananda, and Sriram Pandit. Sri Nityananda Prabhu was appointed as a dancer. Can you imagine this? Nityananda Prabhu dancing in front of your party. Another group was formed consisting of Vasudev, Gopinath, and Murari. All these were responsive singers, and Mukunda was the chief singer. Another 2 persons, Shikant and Vallabhsen, joined as responsive singers. In this group, the senior Haridas Thakur, was the dancer. Purport. In the 3rd group, Mukunda was appointed the chief singer. This party was composed of Basudev, Gopinath, Murari, Shrikant, and Vallabha Sen. The senior Haridas Thakur, was the dancer. The Lord formed another group appointing Govinda Ghosh as leader. In this group, the younger Haridas, Vishnudas, and Raghava were the responding singers. 2 brothers named Madhav Ghosh and Basudev Ghosh, Basu Ghosh, also joined this group as responsive singers. Vakreshwara Pandit was the dancer. There were a Sankirtan party from the village known as Kulinagram, and Ramananda and Satyaraj were appointed the dancers in this group. There was another party that came from Shantipur and was formed by Advaita Acharya. Achyutananda was the dancer, and the rest of the men were singers. Another party was formed by the people of Kanda. These people were singing in a different place. In that group, Narahari Prabhu and Raghunandan were dancing. 4 parties chanted and danced in the front of Lord Jagannath, and on either side was another party. Yet another was at the rear. There were altogether 7 parties of Sankirtan, and in each party 2 men were beating drums. Thus 14 drums were being played at once. The sound was tumultuous, and all the devotees became mad. That's amazing. Can you imagine this Ratha Yatra with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda, Advaita, Shivas, all these amazing devotees? It was all the Vaishnavas came together like an assembly of clouds. As the devotees chanted the holy names in great ecstasy, tears fell from their eyes like rain. When the Sankirtan resounded, it filled the 3 worlds. Indeed, no one could hear any sounds or musical instruments other than the Sankirtan. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wandered through all 7 groups, chanting the holy names, Hari Hari. Raising his arms, he shouted, "All glories to Lord Jagannath." Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then exhibited another mystic power by performing pastimes simultaneously in all 7 groups. Everyone said, "Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is present in my group." Indeed, he does not go anywhere else. He is bestowing his mercy upon us. Actually, no one could see the inconceivable potency of the Lord. Only the most confidential devotees, those in pure, unalloyed devotional service, could understand. To continue as long as possible, and he stopped. And sometimes this happens, that Lord just stops, the chariot is stand still, and as, however and how much they push or pull, the people cannot move the chariot. So this is what happened. This is actually the will of the Lord. Lord Jagannath was, and as we said, this. You see, the different deities, different manifestations of Lord's emotions or Lord's pastimes. Like, for example, when you see the Ugra Nrsimhadev, this deity of the Lord, when he manifests as a angry, half man, half lion, sends a different message. And it's meant for reassuring devotees that Lord will protect them. But this form of Lord Jagannath it's a completely different. It's a very confidential manifestation of Lord's emotions. It's a manifestation of his emotions, because if Ugra Nrsimhadev is manifestation of Lord's anger, then Lord Jagannath is a manifestation of Lord's love to his devotees, especially gopis, because this was on the occasion when Lord met gopis. This is actually how, Lord just melted, from the, and this is from ecstasy, and this is what. This is even for us as a mundane example. When you, after a long period, meet your dear friend or relative, mother or father or son or wife or anybody, some very dear person to you after a prolonged time, when you again meet this person, even in ordinary person, these emotions are manifested. Sometimes people even, especially mothers, when they meet their sons, just like nowadays there's so much talk of a war. People are so foolish, People don't understand what the war means. It's just something like in the eve of First World War, people were so jolly. Oh, we are going into war. They were getting aboard trains which were going to the front lines, and they were very happy, and everybody was. It's such a crazy thing. Actually, war is so horrendous. It's such a horrible, actually, and very inauspicious occurrence. So sometimes these mothers, like I remember there was one mother in our country. She had 4 sons, and 3 sons died in the battle, and she had just one son who was also very, crippled, and I guess I saw this somewhere on some video or something. And she met, he was coming back, and she met him. This mother was like, can you imagine this? I mean, it's unimaginable. Actually, some mothers, they lose all their sons. But this particular, if I'm not mistaken, this particular person, she got only one son, and it's like these emotions are just like overwhelming, and they manifest, in so many ways, through sound, through through perspiration, through tears, through trembling, through voice, and actually people become, they cannot speak, when such emotions manifest. So this is what, this is just a mundane example, but Lord Jagannath, Krishna met gopis after so much time. He met them, and he just couldn't. The Jagannath is manifestation of this Vipralamba Seva, of this our Vipralamba Seva. Actually, his devotees are serving in Vipralamba Seva, but as a response, Jagannath, Krishna is manifesting such a form, and then can you imagine Chaitanya Mahaprabhu now dancing in the front of Lord Jagannath? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu combined form of Radha Krishna. And again, how much that, and what kind of emotion is just unimaginable for us ordinary jivas. What kind of emotions were created and manifested at that time, and which was already, Lord Jagannath on itself, without Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is this amazing festival. Lord Chaitanya, Jagannath himself is there. But then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all his entourage, Panchatattva, Makam Krishna, all his Shaktis, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all his associates and Shaktis manifested at that place, I guess this will never again appear in the future, because it was just unimaginable what kind of emotions were created, and then that affected, of course, devotees, and they become they become mad. King Prataparudra was also astonished to see the Sankirtan. He became inactive and was converted to ecstatic love of Krishna, Prema Maya. Dekite Vivasha Raja Haila Prema Maya. When the king informed Kashi Mishra of the glories of Lord, Kashi Mishra replied, "O king, your fortune has no limit." The king and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya were both aware of the Lord's activities, but no one else could see the tricks of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Only a person who has received the mercy of Lord can understand. Without the Lord's mercy, even the demigods, headed by Lord Brahma, cannot understand. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had been very satisfied to see the king accept the menial task of sweeping the street, and for this humility, the king received the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He could therefore observe the mystery of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's activities. So yes, this is what it is. It's a mystery. It's a mystery.